always wanted my country to belong to the Northern African region, but they're like, oh, we can only be in the Southern African region. So,
I think we are on now. We are live now. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you. We want to welcome you for joining us on another edition of the Forestry Roundtable. We must say that it's a great pleasure to always have you guys on board. Thank you for always believing in this vision. Thank you for believing in this great vision. Once again, I would like to welcome everybody. And of course, we are still expecting more people to join here. And as well, I would like to inform you that this event is being live streamed. You can get to watch it wherever you are joining from on the IFSA YouTube page. So thank you so much for joining us. Meshach.
Yep. Okay. So welcome, guys. It's great to have everyone around. Okay. Do I need further introduction? Okay. My name is Meshach, one of the hosts of the Roundtable, and in combination with Olaoluwa, Jumoke, Adigun Azan, and Ayonle Samuel. And we have this initiative to ensure that we connect forestry students in Nigeria and Africa at large so that we can all operate on the same pedestal and be able to reach where we ought to get to in forestry in Africa. And Forestry Roundtable is just an aspect of our vision in changing the face of forestry in Africa. Our goal is to ensure that the forestry profession becomes desirable in Africa, where people, when they talk about engineering, they talk about any other thing they are sending their children to school to do, they are going to talk about the forestry profession as what they are pushing a child to study. And that is our goal, that in Africa, forestry profession, we have prominence, just like other professions that we give appraisals to. And the Forestry Roundtable is just an aspect. We have other initiatives that is cooking that we are coming up with very soon. And we believe that God is going to help us. So it's been, I must say, I appreciate everyone for coming around here, those that will be joining online and those that will be here for us to interact directly. We prefer to use Zoom sessions like this where we have everybody and not just say people should just join on YouTube alone, because we call it a roundtable. And in a roundtable, we hear from you and we talk to you. So it's an interaction. It is not just to listen. So that's why we are having everybody here on ground. And our guest today is Amos Amanubo, okay, a former IFSA president. Yeah, a former IFSA president and an important person in the upcoming World Forestry Congress that is going to happen in Korea next year. So you're going to be hearing more about that. And I know Amos is loaded. Before the start of the meeting, he's already dropping gist. He's already dropping gist. I was like, we're here to start. So, yeah, I'm certain that we're going to learn a lot today, and we're going to see forestry from a different direction, because we are hearing from the, permit me to use Oga Patapata of them all in forestry. He has been at the peak of what it means to be a student in forestry. So he knows what he's saying, and he's going to be telling us things that are real, that are practicable, so that we can be able to connect and move higher than where we are and become universal candidates. So I don't know, Olaoluwa, should I leave it to you or move it to Amos directly?
Yeah. Okay. Before we kick start fully, before I move back to you again, Meshach, I'd like to appreciate Alex for always supporting us. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. A short intro, 1 minute from you.
Okay, thank you so much. And my name is Alex Onotunji, and I'm glad to be here. It's nice joining this meeting today. And I am glad that myself and Amos moved from competitor to collaborator. And the short story was that Amos and I, we applied for IFSA funding to attend the African Forestry and Wildlife Congress in, Amos, which country is that again?
Senegal, Dakar. Senegal.
So, after the ranking, I found a strange man in the email that won the competition, and his name was Amos. So, but instead of being in competition with him, eventually we become collaborators, and now we are doing very fine. So thank you so much, Amos, and thank you so much, everyone, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. Ololuwa, can I go ahead? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I think the next thing is to bring Amos on board. Please, what we're going to do is, for every question you have, please type them in the chat box. If we are able to allow you to say it by unmuting yourself, we're going to allow that. But if we can't allow that because of time, we're just going to read it from the chat box. So it's good, just put them on the chat box. And at the end, we are going to ask the question and you're going to get your answers. So over to you, Amos. We are pumped to listen to you.
Amos, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to say thank you in some language in Nigeria, but I don't know how to say that.
Please go ahead.
I'll just keep that to myself. I'll say it some other time. Alex hasn't taught me that. Neither has Israel or Misak, anyone else. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Those who have joined us live and those who have joined us in this room, I'm glad that you made some time to join us. It's always good to have a communication, two-way communication, rather than have it one way. I'm glad to be in this space and to connect with each one of you. And I am grateful to this team that has pulled this roundtable together. I always see ads for it going online. And I'm like, yes, these guys are doing what we actually need in Africa to bring the young people together and to create an appreciation for forestry. So yeah, I'll just, before this session actually started, behind the scenes, I got so pumped up because the energy in this space is very contagious. And I've never seen foresters with very super contagious energy. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. So just going to give a snapshot into the Global Forest Science Policy Practice Interface. What happens there, how we can benefit there, and why we should be in that space as African youth and young professionals, right? I think the first thing that I want to mention is that you cannot talk about the world without something at global level. You cannot talk about it without talking about Africa, especially natural resources. Africa is a very big source of natural resources for the rest of the world. That's one thing that you should keep at the back of your mind throughout. The second thing is that you cannot talk about Africa without talking about its young people, without talking about its youth. If you talk about Africa without talking about the youth, that's a very raw deal for me. And the youth must be part of it, whether you're discussing the present or the future or the past. Just a very, very quick figures that I got through is that Africa is currently the youngest, branded as the youngest continent on the world, with 60% of its population that's under 25%, with over 60% of its population under the age of 25. And by 2030, this population will be 75% of African population will be under 35%. So I just want you to keep these figures at the back of your mind. You have an African continent with 75% of the population under 35%. That's a very stiff competitive space, but it's not only a competitive space, it's a space for growth and to learn from one another. And why it is, yeah, someone is unmuted. Yeah, why it is branded as the youngest continent is that you can also see that Africa is 45% of the global youth population. So these are numbers that should begin to speak to us, and whether we should, at such large numbers, continue to live in a bubble within Africa, or we should begin to step out of our bubbles and move on and begin to champion a global cause from the African perspective. So a few things that came to my mind when I think about global forest science policy events is that these are events where people go and share ideas from the academia, from science perspectives, where they're policy actors that go and see what the feasible options are, what are the innovative ideas coming on stage, and where the practice people also go and share their stories and experiences and learn from other people. So it's a very dynamic space where people share ideas, where people connect, where people pitch their mind, and where, above all, there are opportunities. So if there is this large population of African youth that is locked into a bubble, the world is so connected right now. And if you are locked into this bubble within Africa and you're not connecting beyond the boundaries, how will you know what opportunities are going on where? How will you connect with those opportunities? How will someone know that there is a very innovative idea somewhere in Nigeria that needs to be unlocked and tapped into? So this is the challenge that I have for you. What avenues can you begin to step through to tap into these opportunities? Also, just at these events, what happens at these global or regional science policy practice events? There's a lot of statistics that go on. There's a lot of information and data sharing, a lot of research that goes on, a lot of storytelling. And these are stories about you. These are stories about African youth, about African forestry, about African forest industries, about statistics about unemployment in Africa, statistics about the state of forest education in Africa. And so the question for me to you is, if we, the African youth, do not begin to tap into these spaces, who tells our story? Who frames our problems? Are they being framed right? When you attend an event, do you feel the problems or the stories that are being shared on behalf of, let me say, forest education in Africa? Or I'm glad Alex Onatunji speaks a lot about forest education. He speaks from very first-hand experience of what it is like. You can feel it, even when I speak about forest education, because I have my own experience from my countries. So we have had this chance to share the story the way we feel it. But on many occasions, many of us, young people, don't have the opportunity to share these challenges. We don't navigate those spaces. So is the right story being told about you? Are the challenges and problems being framed right? Is a question that you should start to think about. And the opportunities that are out there, if people go into these spaces, many people, a survey was done about participating in global events, conferences, and workshops. Many people go there for the content. That's very true. But many other more people, majority, go there to network and connect, to meet new people. And when you meet new people, you're meeting new opportunities. So this is my invitation to you to sort of begin to think of what avenues you can begin to navigate to enter these global forest science policy practice spaces. And there is already a number of, if you have any question in the midway, we're having a conversation, it's a roundtable, so you can pop in anytime, really. I would appreciate you jumping in anytime. But there is a number of avenues that you can begin to navigate and think about on how to tap into these spaces. Before, when I joined my undergraduate to start studying forestry, forestry is treated the same in my country, like really deplorable in a way. When you tell someone that you're studying forestry, the first thing my neighbor told me was, I'm like, oh, I've been admitted to study forestry in Makerere University. And the first thing I heard was, oh, where are you going to work? People have cut all the trees down, I'm like, oh, I didn't expect to hear that. And I always felt like I probably should one day go to him and look at him in the face and say, I'm glad that I actually continued and never listened to you. But when I started studying forestry, I was in that kind of bubble, in this space where there is no information, where you don't know what next. A lot of people do forestry and they don't know what next. You end up thinking about, how can I enter the local government, forest department. And it's a lot of old people there who don't want to retire, like especially in my country. He's working with a diploma or a certificate for years, and your master's is a threat to his job, whatever. So it's a very tough space to navigate. Now, there is something that I want to put to you to challenge you. It's just a simple word, really. It's called intellectual curiosity. How hungry are you? How curious are you to find out more about what you are currently doing? Because if you are not hungry, if you're not curious to learn out what is happening out there, I'm just going to talk here and this roundtable will end here. And after this, you will not even bother to go and search more of what is happening out there. My own story is from starting to search out what forestry spaces are out there that I can make meaning out of, what young people, forestry students are out there that I can connect with. And the first thing that I came across was International Forestry Students Association in 2014. It was a Facebook group that I joined. It was not even the official, I didn't join as a member. And that is where growth started, to attending the first IFSS. And then after that, to attending the competition that Alex talked about, the African Forestry and Wildlife Commission. And that is a stage for people to know for you to prove yourself, to say that we are young people, but we are just not young and raw. We have experiences to share. We have a kind of knowledge to share. We have ideas, innovative ideas to bring on board. Because these are spaces where they plan for everyone. They plan for young people as well. These are transdisciplinary spaces. You don't necessarily have to be a forester to be in those spaces. You just have to be interested in any of these thematic areas. The previous webinar that we had, that the World Forestry Congress Secretariat organized, had people, some young people from India. They were dentists, they were doctors, they were people of different backgrounds. You begin to realize that forestry is connected in a very intricate way to a lot of things. It just doesn't stop at forestry itself. And now you're facing you have an advantage, as I assume most of the people that I speak to here are foresters. You have a very huge advantage because you have that background already now. And this is people are coming up with lots of startups, They're people who did medicine. They come up with startups in forestry, social ventures, nature related, and they beat you down, they overtake you. It's just an idea that they have, that they're enthusiastic about, but you have the idea and the knowledge. Why don't you unlock that? Why don't you tap into that? Is kind of a question that I want to pose to us here. Recently, I was contacted for a global forestry event to find a speaker, someone who could talk about human well-being and forests, to connect that link. And you will be surprised to know that there are people who are very interested in learning that connection, and they are not even foresters, and they have mastered that space, and they are going to take that opportunity. So you have all this benchmark knowledge already. Why don't you begin to come on board and showcase it? It's like the question that I want to share with you, and I want you to look into it. Forestry doesn't have limited opportunities. I'll be honest about this. If there is anyone who has not, I've never regretted having made a career choice in forestry. But I think what has made me not to regret it is tapping into those spaces, into these forest science, policy, practice related spaces. And those are the only spaces where I actually learned that forestry is just not about coming to learn and going to do logging, as I was taught. It's way much more than that. There is the policy aspect, and policy doesn't necessarily, it needs your experiences only, you to be able to share your story. So that is something that I encourage you to tap into. But above all, I know one thing we're interested in so much is what opportunity is there to project me into the future. That is the most important thing from this. We go to network at these events because I want to meet someone who will connect me to further studies, who will connect me to masters, who will connect me to a job, who will connect me to, to broader networks. So the question is, what opportunities are there? And I can only say for now that there is lots of opportunities to network. And it is up to you to become very curious and sort of look for those opportunities to tap into, so that no one tells your story and you share your story.
Amos, before you move further, I would love to say that just like you said, there's a common saying that nobody knows your story better than you, and nobody can even share your story better than you do. And of course, I know a lot of people doing great things as far as forestry research is concerned here in Africa. You understand? Like people, in fact, we have a very good brother and friend on this platform, Moyo Samuel. He did a research on sacred groves in Nigeria, and he came up with a very beautiful result. And how can you encourage people with great innovations, great ideas, or maybe some people that have carried out one research in one way or the other that are important to the global forest issue? How can you encourage them to be able, so that they can project their voice, so that they can be on that high pedestal?
So I think the most important thing is you have done your research at your faculty, at your department. The most important thing for you to know is, what channel do I need to bring this research, this new idea or innovation onto a global platform, or a regional platform for that matter, where it can gain visibility? That's usually the first step. There's a number of events that I have attended, global or regional, where there is a provision for people to present their ideas. The World Forestry Congress recently called for submissions for posters and papers for you to present, and for voluntary contributions as well. So if you submit your research, I know there is the question of funding coming after this, but that's something that we can talk about after. If you submit a very good quality paper, your paper is going to be put on the Congress platform where these papers and posters are displayed. And that is where other people can come and see this idea, and your information is there. You put your information, your contact information is there. Of course, it becomes easy for someone to reach you. Research, the purpose of research is not to end in bookshelves, in libraries. No, it's to be put out there. And these global events, actually, usually when they call for submissions, voluntary contributions, just don't look at it as a call. Be curious about it and tap into it. And some papers are accepted usually, and some papers, most of these events host something called the Speaker's Corner, where it's an open space and you have an audience to actually speak to. It's just you and your paper, and you present your idea. And there is someone definitely who is going to pick an interest in that paper if it is an interesting space. The second thing is, leave alone the event. Now, I want to talk about 4 more spaces and networks that you can present in your papers. One is, I can talk about just a highlight, a snapshot of what I can think about right now. The first one is the African Forestry and Wildlife Commission. It has thematic working groups. I think Alex is in one of them for forest education. I am in one of them for climate change and restoration. And these thematic groups inform the proceedings, the knowledge needs of the commission sitting. So the commission sitting is supposed to be a ministerial conference, but on many occasions, a ministerial conference that sort of builds recommendations for management of forestry and wildlife resources in Africa. And they just don't sit down and brainstorm. They're like, where is the gap? Where are the weaknesses? So if you have your research that talks about this, and if you can be in one of those thematic groups, it's of very big advantage to you. And then the second group that I can think about, I listed down a number of groups, the African Forest Forum, but I also want to think about the FORNESA, right? The FORNESA is the Forestry Research Network for Sub-Saharan Africa, I think. I think it's a very flexible space where you can share your research, and people can access it from there. So you need a platform, a space where people can know what you are doing, where you can put it out there and showcase your work.
Wow, wow, wow. That sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amos. I think somebody is asking a question now. Someone from Benin Republic is asking a question that how can, let me see. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to. Okay. The question is, how can I get visibility to spread my research work? On what channel I would like to get answers to these questions asked. I think the person is trying to know how he or she can get his work to be more visible in the to the global community.
I mean, I can drop my email in here shortly. To answer that question in precise, I'm happy to leave my email here. And if you write to me, I'm happy to recommend you to working groups or spaces where you can join, because these are research groups. These are where you share your research ideas. You can share with them. And these are groups that have communication channels that have a global audience where you can put your work and it gets access to that global audience. But yeah, I know that we are probably going to zero down on the World Forestry Congress, because I'm also interested in sharing about that with you. But the World Forestry Congress has a blog. It's called the World Forest Voices. And we will soon put out a call for you to submit blogs, for people to submit blogs to be put out there. That is a space for you to gain visibility, because with the thousands of audiences that are usually interested in the World Forestry Congress, they will go onto this blog and see what's trending there, what's happening. And it's likely that people will come across your work. And from the back end side, we can trace how much of this work has been clicked on by people from where. So it's very easy to know that your work is actually getting a global visibility.
Wow, wow, that sounds great. Meshach.
Okay. Before we now talk about the World Forestry Congress, one thing that I have as an addition was where I do my master's currently, I'm in landscape design department, and we have landscape architects and all, while my own major is environmental science. And I was hearing a landscape architect saying, I want to do my master's in urban forestry. Like, these guys want to go into forestry. And I was like, why? She's passionate about it, that she wants to go, that she needs recommendation of where universities outside of Lebanon, where I study, to study urban forestry, while I'm looking forward to doing urban forestry, my PhD. So there's a lot attached to these things, and people are taking these opportunities. People are seeing bigger than this. And where I think the problem is that we are looking at our career in forestry within the scope of our country, and we're looking at it within the scope of Africa. But by joining all these organizations that we are recommending, and of course, when we have all those data, we are going to send an email blast to everyone that will contain those information. Another one of them is Ecosystem Service Partnership, ESP. ESP is another organization with about 15 thematic working group. I'm part of the mapping thematic working group because my thesis is on mapping ecosystem services across urban cities. So I'm part of the thematic working group, the mapping thematic working group. There's data, there's artificial intelligence working group. So you can see that you can even harness technology skill in forestry to ensure that you're able to bring out great results. So it's really great. Thank you, Amos. So we'd like
Meshach, before you go ahead, I
yeah.
think we cannot overemphasize the need to bring tech into this policy space.
Yeah.
Amos, what do you think?
Yeah.
Pardon, can you ask that question again?
I was trying to buttress what Meshach said on the need to bring technology into this policy space, like these people building, the people using technological tools to solve various problems, like bringing it into forestry, like all this building up. Meshach, I think, can you buttress on that? I think you understand.
Yeah. So there's blockchain technology in forestry. There's blockchain technology in forestry. There's artificial intelligence. There's big data. There's deep quest. There's remote sensing. And beyond remote sensing, not the basic remote sensing where you just import shapefile into ArcGIS. There's remote sensing in terms of interactive mapping, where you can create a complete tourism experience for somebody on the web as a forester. It's an aspect of my research. So where you can create a part of tourism experience for somebody as a forester. And we're looking forward to getting those who are really interested in technology and forestry, striking that balance. We are going to be making a call in December for people to sign up, and we're going to work together. You are going to get more information. You are going to get developed in this area. So that is still cooking, and it's yet to be done. So when it's done, we'll release it out there. So yeah.
Amos, I would like to ask you, I'm very sure we have people with new concept ideas currently on this platform, and even beyond this platform. How can you, let me put it to you now, you are a brother, a friend, and we are in this space together. So how can you serve as a link, as a kind of link for us? Probably we have an idea we want to share to the global community. How can you help us in this space?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, the first thing that I think I can do is to point out where these avenues are that you can explore the spaces. The second thing that I can think about is that if I am called upon to make a recommendation, of course, I don't want to call it a favor. It's a lot of merit out there. But if I am called upon to make a recommendation on ideas that are needed for crowdsourcing ideas, then I am happy to bring these ideas on board for consideration. That is the second thing that I can do at a personal level. I think the third thing is that I've worked quite as a juror on a judge on a number of panels for these crowdsourced innovations with Trillion Trees Challenge and World Economic Forum and Uplink that crowdsource quite big innovations and with lots of funding. So it's usually a little bit easier for me to judge what is actually expected of applications to these calls for innovations, what exactly is needed, and how you can tweak your application accordingly to maybe win a contest or something like that.
Wow, I think that's great. Meshach, I think this is another opportunity for us that I think we can leverage on. I'm thinking of maybe on some other events we can get to have Amos. He's an experienced person. He has been on panels, jury, you understand, to judge people's application. I'm thinking if we can once again bring Amos on board to tell our people as a kind of, let's say, training or to enlighten our audience on some of those things they can do when sending out applications for opportunities. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe you'll be willing. It's already known.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should move to the World Forestry Congress now.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as the World Forestry Congress is concerned, so as many of you are already aware that I work with the World Forestry Congress as the Youth and Outreach Liaison, a position that was previously held by one of your own, Yemi Adeyeye. That was in the 14th World Forestry Congress that was here in South Africa in Durban in 2015, he created quite a very big impact in terms of the reach among youth and young people, young professionals. So trying to build onto that legacy and keep it continuing. A little to mention about the World Forestry Congress. I hope that you can, after this call, also go onto the website and the blog and read more about it. So the World Forestry Congress, if I can just put it in a very small note, is a major global world forestry event that brings together various stakeholders. It's a multi-stakeholder event that draws together stakeholders from different backgrounds, from the practice industry, from the academia, and even people, actors who are interested in the policy spaces, young people, youth, like you, like me, indigenous people, to come and share ideas and learn and sort of brainstorm and think about or dialogue on key issues in the forestry sector and sort of forge new pathways to new direction for, for the global forestry, forest landscape. So the upcoming World Forestry Congress is the 15th World Forestry Congress. It will happen from 2nd to 6th May at Seoul in Republic of Korea. But before that, there will be a number of pre-Congress events that you should stay on the look for. But why I want to mention the World Forestry Congress is that this, just as always, but this time there's also a lot of interest, a very huge interest in prioritizing youth and young people's position at this event, because young people have consistently stated their position in changing, in transforming the world. If you look at Fridays for Future, this time there's also if you look at Fridays for Future, if you look at the Extinction Rebellion, these are all movements that are led by young people. So it is evident that young people are not only dependent stakeholders, but very definitive stakeholders that forge new pathways for the global forestry arena. So there is a number of initiatives that, if you like, I can talk about now on how the World Forestry Congress this time envisions, of course, engaging young people. The World Forestry Congress looks forward to working with, rather than for, young people. That means you come on board and work with us and define what kind of engagement that you want. And serving as the youth and out liaison for the World Forestry Congress, it is very important for me, even now and after this call, to know what your expectations are in terms of this event, what exactly you think a meaningful and impactful engagement of you as young people would look like. And if there are any challenges, if there are any opportunities that you look forward to tapping into, what are they? And this is of interest to me because then, as the youth liaison, it is very important for me to leave on your ideas. This is what you guys want, and this is what it should be like. So there is a number of events that are happening, strategies to engage young people. If you go onto the website, you'll see a number of them there. I want to quickly talk about the Forest Changemaker contest. This was also highlighted in the previous, in the previous webinar. It's a video contest that's only limited to young people for you to showcase what you are doing on the ground and how important that is for forests and for your community. I'm very sure, I have confidence that there is a lot of you out there who are engaged in this. At least I've followed a lot of young people from Nigeria who are actually doing on the ground work. And this is a very important opportunity for you to gain that visibility by participating in this contest. I mean, even if you don't emerge as a winner, there is a likelihood that your work will be showcased and someone will learn about the initiative that you have somewhere. So this is a video contest. It runs until 31st of December. And please, you are invited to submit your contest and showcase what exactly you're doing on ground. If there are any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any time. But yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I also saw something on. I think I got an email on the last meeting we had on the mentorship and the mentees. I don't know if you can talk on that. Is it Green Mentors or something?
Yeah. Yeah, so the World Forestry Congress Secretariat has entered a partnership with the Sustainable Forestry Initiative and their Project Learning Tree Initiative, Green Mentor, and they have established a mentorship program. It's called the Green Mentor, the World Forestry Congress Green Mentor Program. This is particularly to connect young people and senior professionals in the forest sector. I mean, it's free. It's a 6-month mentorship program. For 6 months, you are going to be in communication with a senior forester. Whoever that will be will definitely match your interests, because this is a very strategic and dynamic mentorship program. And you only need 2 to 3 months to be part of this program. You need to commit 2 to 3 hours rather per month to benefit, to be part of this program. And it's free. And at the end of it, at the end of the 6 months, you will get a certificate for your participation. But what is important now is not for me the certificate. No, the question that I want to ask you is, do you have a mentor? I mean, we have mentors, spiritual fathers, whatever, but do you have a mentor as far as your career is concerned? That's a question that you should leave this. If you don't have one, then perhaps you should get one. How spread is your mentor? Some mentors are very thinly spread. They have so many mentees, and it's very difficult for you to get attention sometimes. So how strategic is your mentor? And when we talked about global forest science practice policy events, why you should be part of it, and since you've been looking for an opportunity to engage and to connect and to showcase your ideas, this is just one of those opportunities for you, because you are going to be connected with someone you have never met, you have never known, a very senior forestry professional that is probably known world over. How would you, if not through such a program, gain access to this person's email? How would you gain their commitment? Because this time mentors also apply to take a mentee. So they already commit themselves and they know that there is a student, a mentee coming. And so it's like a free connection that doesn't come the easy way, because these people don't know us. We don't know them. We would want to reach them and tap into their knowledge, but there is no connection. So there is this Green Mentor program is here, and the deadline is on 10th of November. So I totally encourage you to apply for it and be part of it. If you can, you should. I also have a mentor even up to now. Yeah, if there is any questions about the Green Mentor program, I'm very happy to take them.
Okay, thank you so much, Amos. Meshach, anything from you?
Yeah, nothing from me. Nothing
okay,
from
I think you asked a question before we started this event, before we started this roundtable the other time on sponsorship to attend the event. Can you kindly ask the question again?
Yeah. So concerning the World Forestry Congress, we want you to shed light on how it's not like people don't want to be at this event, and that's a reality. But an average person cannot sponsor himself, not even someone beyond average cannot sponsor himself for those events. So how do we get sponsorship to attend those events? The several opportunities that are available.
So when you come to financial matters, I and Alex have a very, very close testimony of financial issues, of the challenges, and you want to attend an event and it's so difficult, because that is the fact. Once I cross the border into Europe, I'm probably gonna take a bottle of soda and my tuition will be done. Like the value of my money really drops down, really, really low. And that is how tough it is out there. So as far as financial opportunities for the Congress are concerned, in the previous webinar that was about upcoming opportunities for youth and young professionals to engage at the Congress, you might have heard from the start in the opening remarks, the Associate Secretary General of the World Forestry Congress, Mr. Peter Choka, did mention that they are working on a financial support scheme for young people, for people who are from mainly low-income countries and lower middle-income countries to participate, to support them to participate at the Congress. In what nature this financial support scheme comes, whether it is a full financial support scheme or not, I'm not yet sure about this, but this should be out very soon. Other than that, just to let you know that this also, much as it says for lower and lower middle income countries, it prioritizes youth and young professionals and women, because they know that these are actually people who are struggling to make it meet. I mean, why would I give financial support to someone who is already, working and they have all the advantage to be able to attend on their own finances? So that is the very first one. This financial support scheme that's being finalized, as you had Mr. Peter Choka say that. The second one is these contests that are put up, like the Forest Change Maker contest. There will be a blog competition soon that was mentioned in the webinar. Through this contest, there will be, of course, participants selected, and the winners will, the prize depends. You could end up attending at the Congress and pitching your ideas there, because the winners, of course, have this provision to present their ideas there where possible or applicable. Other than that, the Congress is a gathering of many stakeholders running side events, running special sessions that need speakers. And there are provisions usually for young people to come and speak. So if you are picked upon, you can come and speak. And there are other financial channels that, of course, might not be directly managed by the Secretariat, but those actors that are at the Congress that have these events, there might be a possibility to point you to those channels and say, hey, there is this opportunity here. Would you be available for it? And yeah, you would be picked upon if, yeah.
Wow, great. Just to digress a bit from WFC, while you were speaking, something kept popping up in my mind, and it's basically on the creativity of young Africans, the creativity of let me say young foresters, or let me say Africans. You understand? I know Africans to be energetic people, creative people. They're into all facets of life, as you might want to see it. Like songs, some into poetry, writers. I can keep mentioning them. How do you? Because sometimes ago, let me use this as an example. Sometimes ago, a friend just I got a chat from a friend, and he said he needed people who have songs on climate change. He said he needed people who have songs relating to forests. Then I kept thinking. At the end of the day, I think I was able to get one or maybe two, at least from my search in the whole of Africa. So how do you encourage young people to of course, I know you love songs. I know I've seen some of your posts before. I know you love music generally. How can you
Niger music particularly?
Yeah. So how can you encourage young people who are creative, who have creative mindset? The other time Meshach talked about bringing technology into the global forest space. He talked about bringing tech into forest policy and the likes. So how can we move into some other aspect of life as a form of encouragement to young Africans, to Africans who are creative? How can you encourage them to to be creative in terms of writing songs relating to the environment, on climate change, on the happenings, not just moving to one aspect of life. And of course, you can't take this away. We need to be complete. So how do you encourage people who are creative Africans to be more engaged in forest-related issues?
Yeah, thank you for raising that issue of creativity. Just as Misha mentioned earlier on about the integration of technology into forestry, and there's these different things, you realize that the field is becoming a lot more transdisciplinary every day. Someone would say that research has been failing. Someone would say that. We do research, but we still have problems. The problem is not that the research was wrong. Of course, there is a problem on how this research has been conceived, you know, whether it is actually very representative of what the people feel on ground. And then now the most important thing now at the moment is how we communicate research. You are not going to communicate this research. Someone once told me, if you cannot explain your research, my undergraduate research, if I cannot explain it to my grandmother and make her understand it, then I don't understand. It's not effective at all. She must understand it, you know? So how can you communicate it to the common man? How can you communicate your research? How can you communicate your idea? And I'm happy that you mentioned this thing of creativity through music, through audio visuals, because that has become a very important thing. Someone asked me recently, what is climate change in your language? And I could not even tell them, you know, so how do you begin to communicate knowledge in very creative ways? And you will definitely get support for that, funding, whatever, I'm sure you'll get it. And for what I know, many times I've been reached out to by lots of events that are being organized around. They say, can you find for us someone who can do something about forest communication, about audio visuals, communicating to either children or people in the rural villages? And I can't think of anyone else. And apart from that, I think one day they wanted someone from Africa. It was about, they wanted 2 students to go to Japan for the World Wood Day to do something about wood crafting. And it was all funded. And I'm thinking all through my mind, I reached all the people that I could, and all the foresters that I knew only knew forest as a science and not a craft, you know, like being able to craft things, that innovative aspect of forestry. I could not think of anyone, quite frankly. And I was stuck because there was this sense of, I am reliable. I can find someone who is that innovative, but I could not in the end. So the question is, if you are in that space and you have these innovative ideas, how can you bring them on board and where can you share them? How can people get to know that you have these ideas? I mean, if you want to tap into forestry, I can suggest for you really one big aspect, like very huge one right now, and you can think about, start doing documentaries about forest degradation or forests and cultures. You have your smartphone, you have a very clear camera. You can use it for selfies as well. I like to take selfies sometimes, but what can you put that to a very productive use? There's a talk about deforestation and so on, but people don't know about this. I mean, when I traveled from my city to my countryside home, it's by bus. It's a 9 hours drive to the village. I counted that night. I counted about 97 huge trucks of charcoal coming from my hometown going to the city. That's a very huge load of deforestation. And I wrote a small piece about that. So for me, the most important thing is, can you see a problem? Can you think about that problem? Can you think of a way of communicating it creatively? But if you want, I totally can think of right now is within your reach. it's just your smartphone and its good camera, is to start documenting these experiences and things that are going on around. That will surely bring for you some visibility. But there is many others, audio visuals. The most important thing nowadays is communication. I can do my research, but fail to communicate it. And in the end, it makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Amos. Finally, because I have a lot of things popping up right now. But then I think if you walk up to an average African, it might not be African alone, really, but then just to discuss in our own space, if you engage an African youth, they might want to tell you that okay, I don't have channels to get my voice to be heard. But then I want to ask a question that, apart from the social media, and of course, social media has become a very powerful tool that we must all leverage on. I think you get, and we cannot overemphasize that. So how do you think, beyond these platforms, you know, we might not want to wait for the next World Forestry Congress, or let's say one platform or the other, before we can share our ideas to the global community? I think you understand. We might not want to wait for GLF to organize one global event for us to express ourselves, express our minds. I think you get. So, and apart from the social media, how do you think, as an African or as young people, how do you think we can share ideas to the people in the global space?
I think I missed that question, the last bit of it.
How do you think we can share our ideas? We might not want to wait for the next World Forestry Congress to write papers, reviews, and the likes, or maybe one conference being organized by GLF or some other numerous organizations. So how do you think, what are the other channels you think, as an African, that we can use to express, to share our ideas?
I think there is, I can think of the spaces that I have shared my ideas in, and there are usually communities of practice that, yeah, they're a very limited number that I've actually shared my ideas through. I can just think of African Forest Forum. I can think of the African Center for Green Economy. I can think of FORNESA. I can think of the African Forest and Wildlife Commission, where actually Alex, the work that was done by Alex and one of the proposals shared by him, has created a massive shift in forest education. And it was a policy recommendation that featured on the final policy document of the commission. So these communities of practice are constantly working every day. You can they are not event-based. They are always sourcing ideas, and they have newsletters that circulate around, and they have an audience to reach to it. That is where you can share your ideas. If you love blogging, I mean, I usually, of late, I love blogging. I love to write, because people will read about you when you are not there. You don't have a chance to share your ideas every time, but the internet doesn't forget, you know. Once you put something there, put what is right, the internet never forgets. Yeah, so that is just not social media. Social media is very powerful tool. It's perhaps the most important tool that we have, and that we might want to tap into, of course. But beyond social media, there are these communities of practice that I want to encourage you to join. And yeah, we can share, we can think of and write an email together after this session, and I can give input to it, and you can share it out, and those who are interested might want to follow from there.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's a good one. That's a good one. And my addition to this kind of thing is, we need to learn to read more. We need to learn to read more. Yeah, we need to learn to read more. A lot of times this information will not come to us. We need to look for them. And the difference is always clear. People who look for the information, they rise faster compared to people who wait for the information to come to them. So we need to read more. there are a lot of there are hidden things in some blogs around forestry, papers. Like, it is through reading that you know things that need to be explored, gaps that need to be filled. I was reading a paper just before the event, and it was talking about the earth effect of forest to the people that live in Canada. And there were recommendations in this paper that could even become a social enterprise initiative that somebody could execute there in a research paper. So through reading, we can be able to know more, learn more, and be able to do more. So Olaoluwa, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Meshach, for that. Okay, can we get to have one or two contributions from our audience? So if you love to say one or two things in 1 minute, can you unmute yourself? So if you would love to contribute, maybe you have one or two things to share, to add, and probably you have a question, kindly unmute yourself. Okay, all right. If there's none. Okay, thank you, Temi.
Yeah, please. I'm very sorry. I came late, or I come late to the meeting. I'm very sorry about that. But the little thing I found and I met was so inspiring and encouraging so much that even me personally, I'm even thinking that, oh God, I've missed a lot from being far away from IFSA and the membership team and everything. So I really want to appreciate the speaker, Mr. Hemos, for everything you have done and the inspiring word you have given. I know you, and what I meant was talking about when you were talking about the creativity. And, you know, even as a forester, naturally, we are just creative beings. Like, by the virtue of the course or the profession, we are just creative, and we'll believe to do more. So please, I just want to still see how we can be more encouraged, so that we are far away, let me use that word, that we are far away from the team and we are now back, you know, ways that we can still catch up with everybody and still become better. So that's what I want to say. So thanks so very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, just before I go to that, I've added there's a link to the youth group for the World Forestry Congress Youth. It's a Facebook page. There's a lot of opportunities that get posted there. It's comprised of about 6,600 members from the previous World Forestry Congress, youth who attended that Congress and who have gone on to be really big people now. You can think about, I always like to talk about Yemi because perhaps he's a very good example that you can relate with, Yemi at the AAA. But there is many other people that I know actually participated in that Congress, and they are actually doing their PhDs and so on in the UKs, and they have gone on to really do great things. And one thing is that perhaps a video will come out soon of testimonials of people, young people who participated in that Congress and what opportunity they got from there. And some of these people who actually got their PhD opportunities at the Congress through networking. And you learn, you meet this professor and you learn, oh, they have this project. They're willing to take a student. And their opportunities, they're just looking for the right people and the aggressive people. So I totally understand your point, Temi. If you're not in IFSA and if you're not in school, you are in like oblivion. There's like that space where there is a disconnect and you need to connect with other people now. And I think this is a very nice space to connect. There is WhatsApp groups that Alex created when he was the IFSA Northern African representative. There is opportunities that get pushed there, and there is other different groups. So it is that connection through which you can tap into. I've just added my email there. If you have anything related to or any recommendation for the World Forestry Congress, you can write to that FAO email. If it is any inquiries, any other thing else, you can write to my Gmail account.
Thank you so much. Can we take one more? Alex?
Okay, thank you so much. And Amos, I must really commend you for taking your time, for speaking to us, and for encouraging us to be part of the Congress. And your story has really been a good one for me to follow. And I'm glad again that you are here. For others' information, Amos is one of the last time we had an IFSA president from Africa who grew up from Africa was somewhere around 1990 something. And Amos broke that record to become an IFSA president. And who knows if our next IFSA president is on this platform. Thank you so much for all your work you are doing, Amos. And I see Dr. Fola come in. And
Yeah. I just saw. I think Dr. Fola will have a farewell message for us to bid us goodbye. Dr. Fola.
Hello, guys. Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
I am very, very sorry. I missed this. I just checked in my flight. I'm at Abuja. I'm attending a program. And I'm due to return home today. I've been there since last week, Sunday. We're having a wood expo at Abuja, trying to fast track how to move forestry forward in Nigeria. And I've been trying to join this, but you know, the Nigerian transport and moving at the airport and all that. So I just checked in and have a time to sit down. I said, let me quickly look at how far you people you have gone. And then I saw you are rounding off.
Yeah.
Dr. Fola, can you, okay, as a form of blessing, can you share with us some of the take homes from the Wood Expo?
At the Wood Expo, we are trying to look at what is being happening in forestry sectors currently. Especially, we are looking at how important wood is and who are the stakeholders in the wood sector. We've been able to meet a lot of stakeholders, especially those who are into architecture, those who are into construction, those who are using the wood for their daily works. We looked at even the people that are into charcoal kiln, the people who are selling forest products are there, and we're able to have a very serious engaging. And I try to introduce this aspect of forest certification to them and the need by which forestry sector in Nigeria should go for forest certification, the need for us to go into chain of custody so that our forests will be sustainably and responsibly managed, rather than just doing things, the business as usual and destroying our forests, not sustainably managed. So this time around, we are talking about sustainable management. We're talking about responsible management. And that is what I try to introduce to the people. And I'm very happy that some stakeholders from UK, from United Kingdom, that is Soil Association, who are one of the agencies that FSC is using, Forest Stewardship Council, those ones that they are using, they've indicated interest to come to Nigeria to train us and then to get us started with development of our national standards that we will be using in formulating developing our forest certification and chain of custody. And those are the things that we are seriously engaging in, that I'm trying to introduce to the forestry sector in Nigeria. And I'm happy people are listening. And people are ready to participate and ready to collaborate with us. And so it's a good talk that we had, and we developed the communique. It's high time that we move the community forward for a logical implementation and adoption. So that is what we are currently doing. And I hope these people will cooperate with us, and then we'll do something serious in Nigerian forestry sector. Yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us the take homes. Thank you so much, Dr. Fola, for joining us. Thank you.
Okay, so to everybody, I wish you success. I wish you good luck. I'm really encouraged with what you guys are bringing on and what you're organizing. Please keep it up. Don't be discouraged. Don't lose hope. There's still hope for this country. There's hope for forestry sector, and there's hope and a future for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think Amos wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just also want to appreciate Dr. Fola. I've followed his work closely, and the kind of students that you've mentored, and I cannot say thank you enough. some of them have been quite very inspirational to me in a way. Other than that, yeah, I also just perhaps want to echo some of the words that Dr. Fola has put forth. Every time I talk to people, they ask me, what do you do? And I tell them, hey, what are you doing in Cape Town? Or anyone I meet out there, and they're not doing anything related to the environment. People have become very, very, very aware about environmental change, about at global scale. Everyone, many people know this. And every time I meet people and they ask me, Amos, what do you do? I tell them that I study environmental and sustainability sciences. And usually the first reaction is, oh, you're studying the future? And I tell them yes. And I went to bank. I sat with this banking consultant and he asked me that question and I spoke to him. We had a very, very long discussion about sustainability, investments, and the environment. So the first thing that I want to assure you is that you are on the very right track. This is where the future is. It's about the environment because it's like it is happening at a very high rate, environmental change, and we need people to start to govern that. Even if you go to the financial sector now, I mean, that's something I've been thinking about of late for my career, but like, I'm just putting it out there for you. I'm not going to make any career changes probably now or think about it. But it's just there. So a lot of banking institutions nowadays, it has been said, and the World Bank raised the concern with the International Finance Corporation, raised the concern that there has been environmental destruction and climate change. And where does the money come from, the money for this destruction? It's financed by these financial institutions and banks. So they are trying to ensure that there is investment sustainability in terms of the environment. So it is stretching across everywhere in the financial sector, in the industrial technology, whatever. People are constantly thinking of how can our products be environmentally sustainable? So you are on a very right path. And I mean, I would advise anyone, if they're on that path, to hold on to it, because you will definitely, anytime from now, be needed, like very, very much. And keep it there. And I'm sure maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 years from now, we will meet on a similar platform to see how much we are needed by the world. Thank you, and keep it up. Cheers.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you for that. All right. Before we call it a wrap, before we draw the curtains, I'd like to invite Jumoke. Jumoke, can you take the closing remarks very quickly?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry I can't show my face right now.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this meeting, and thank you, Amos. Thank you for the things you said. Thank you for your contributions as well, and for the inspiring message you gave to us today. It's quite interesting. And also, thank you for the last part that you just mentioned about sustainability financing. It's another aspect, and we all can contribute to it, even as foresters. Thank you for bringing that thought to us once again. Thank you so much to have you here. Thank you, Dr. Fola, for always being there. I heard you briefly, and I want to say thank you to Alex again. You are an inspiration to us, and we say thank you. And thank you also to our host. Thank you for joining this meeting. Bye.
All right, thank you. Meshach.
Yeah, all right. So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. Please keep searching for information. Keep searching. And your mind will begin to open. You begin to see where you could come in and, create